Welcome back. And to please take your seats. As we are going to begin with the last session. Welcome back. We are now ready for the concluding session, that is Patent Information and Analysis, a tool for building business strategies. I request Mr. Francois Regis-Hennard, Principal Director, European and International Cooperation, EPO, to kindly moderate the session. Patent Information and Analysis, a tool for building business strategies. Welcome, sir. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Now I welcome on stage the eminent panelist for this session, Mr. Shubdeep Sarkar, Senior Director and Head, Cognizant Technology Solutions. Welcome, sir. Mr. M.D. Kulkarni, Associate Director and Head of Department, C-DAC and Heads, GIST Research Labs. Welcome, sir. I welcome Mr. Rakesh Prabhu, Partner, ALMT Legal. Welcome, sir. And Mr. Patrick, Patent Information Expert, EPO. Welcome, sir. And Mr. Arvind Chopra, Head, IPR, European Business and Technology Center. I welcome all of you. It's over to you, sir, now.
So I'm not going to touch this because I think if I touch it, it will take a lot of noise. So, namaste. So, before starting, I just want to make you very happy because as you are attending the last session, I will have a small gift to all of you. A very special gift, which is a nice small IT tool on which you have all the deep linking on the EPO.org, which refers to e-learning programs, to information from the ESPASnet program, and you will only you get this because you attend this conference. The others will not get it. So the guy you have to ask is my dear colleague Deepak. He has an envelope. Deepak is there. And Deepak will distribute it with a small leaflet which will explain to you how to use that. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy to be with you. And to start, I will refer to what the president of the EPO, Mr. Benoît Battistelli, is always referring to. He is always referring to a very, very simple thing. Whenever you talk about patent, let's go to the history of patent. Let's go to the basic. You might get, in exchange of first pillar, search of novelty, you might get, in exchange of that exchange of information of that patent, a monopoly for 20 years. There are two pillars. One pillar is the search, novelty, and the second one is the exchange of information. And it's very funny because most of the time we forget to talk about the second pillar. And the second pillar is something which is extremely useful. It's not only useful to make people happy to have some information, it's useful to universities. It's useful to all sorts of laboratories, government bodies, individuals, firms. Whoever is interested by technology should at least sometimes go and try to look at what is going on in the world of patent. If I may, I'd like, before giving the floor to my dear colleagues who are in the platform, I'd like to give some ideas of how could it be used for to watch who are your competitors, to identify partners, to do some market analysis, to monitor the technology which is going on, to scout the technology. All of that, if you do it correctly, if you do it cleverly, if you do it smoothly, you might have this information. And I'm going to refer, before giving and introducing my colleagues, to a huge French company which is known especially to the women all over the world because it's the world leader on cosmetics. I'm not going to give you the name of that company. I am a good friend of a guy who is just searching information out of the patent world. And he did state to me few months ago, whatever one of my competitor is going to do in the next 5 years, I ask him to repeat, in the next 5 years, I know it. Because I have a team of 20 people searching 24 hours a day, all the year through, on patent granted to my competitors. And if by any chance there is a patent which I think might be interesting for the company, I have a secret to tell you, and I will repeat it to you. We buy the company. This is the way they do. We buy the company because their patent might be too much as a competition for us. It's the way they work. I'm not telling you you should do all the same. I'm just telling you, if you forget that inside the patent information portfolio, you might find some treasure. You might find exactly what you are looking for. We are going now in the next 20 minutes to explain how my colleagues are working. So now I'm going to present these people who are going to talk. Each of them is going to talk for nothing more than 10 minutes, which is a challenge. So I'm going to ask first to our colleague, Mr. Sarkar, who is from Cognizant Technology Solution. Then I will ask our colleague, Mr. Kulkarni, from C-DAC, from Pune. Then Mr. Prabhu, and then from Mr. Logonidek, and then from our dear colleague, Mr. Chopra. So the first who is going to talk now is Mr. Sarkar. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me. It is a privilege to be here. So, given that I have only 10 minutes, and somebody will surely monitor that, what I've decided is, coming from the corporate world, let me give a couple of perspectives from industry on patent analytics, and in analytics generally in the technology space. So two topics which I intend to cover. One is the trends that we see, or the trends that I see, and the second is, what could be the future, what are some of the challenges. So I'll pick up a few points and then probably discuss on that. Now, one of the trend that I definitely see is the amount of information increase that has happened in the world today. There's a lot of information that is available readily. There are a lot of commercial tools on the patent analytics which has increased. Now, given the technologies have improved, we have technology like big data analytics and other technologies which enable this tool and enhance the features of these tools. Now, so that's a trend that I definitely see. Whereas there are certain challenges as well. I'll come to that a little later. Now on this, there's one important point that I see in how people are doing these analytics nowadays. Earlier, if you really, I'm sure there are many people who would have done analytics many years ago. It was more of, analyzing data after data, and then the tools were enabling in terms of reducing the number of, hits that you would need to analyze. So the tools were more of, enabling how to shortlist the number of, patents before analyzing. But today, people have also realized that it's not only the patent data that you need to look, you need to combine different set of data. Because sometimes, depending on the type of analysis that you do, you may have to work with different set of data and have correlations among those different set of data to come to a conclusion. For example, if I were to give an example, if I'm looking at trying to figure out a technology trend of a company, maybe a competitor or whichever company, you have to also understand that just by analyzing patent data, it may not give you the actual information because it's 18 months old data. So how do I do? And with the speed of how technology is changing, getting data of just patent may not help. So you may have to combine with data of non-patent literature, data in terms of social media data, and see if a particular professor is an expert in a particular area in university, what he is tweeting. And then have that correlation with the patent data, with the non-patent literature, to really figure out what the actual white space or some of the weak signals are in the technology space. So this is a trend which is something which is not that I have developed. This I see as one of the change. The patent professionals, the patent analytics team are actually working. The professionals are putting their minds. And the tool vendors are also trying to work very closely with the customers to see how best they can enable all these in the tools. So the tools that are currently available are just not merely a search tool or just data crunching tools. It is much more than that. So that's one point which I thought of discussing. The second is traditionally, when I started doing analytics work on patents many years ago, it was like more of a research activity, right? I work on certain data, I come out with a very nice report, come out with a very colorful PPT, and then present it to who? Who is my audience in corporate world? It would be an R&D department or it will be an IP department. Today I see that it is not, these reports are not restricted to only the R&D team or the in-house team. It's extended beyond. Business wants to understand what they should do. So these reports actually add a lot of values for other departments which traditionally it was not. It looked like, okay, a team is doing a particular work, they are domain guys, they know about patents, they do analysis, they come out with very good reports. But what do we do with those reports? Now companies are seeing those, and there are executive level, leadership team also, sometimes they see those reports, they merge those reports with their traditional reports of competitive analytics, etc. So we are seeing actually those reports really add value. And patent professionals are actually helping the companies or the leaders to really create value out of these reports. So that's a second trend which I definitely see as changing, which is a good sign end of the day. The third is in terms of, okay, I think I have 5 more minutes? Okay, sure. Now, coming about automation, obviously, while there are many tools that are there, but you have to also understand that the analytics part is not restricted to only one type of analysis. It's not about, doing a patentability analytics or doing a competitive analysis or landscape, etc. Analysis can be multiple, and therefore, there may not be a single tool which may fit all your requirements. So companies are now trying to develop certain small technologies which may sit on top of these commercial tools, which will work either on the input data that you give and then goes into the commercial tool, or they work on the final output. So the commercial tools may give you certain report, you do a manual analysis, you may have a small tool which does the further analysis and reporting. So companies are now investing on developing their internal technologies also, which may or may not sit on these commercial tools. That's one of the trends that I see. Now coming to challenges, let me quickly touch upon 2 points only. One is that while there are tools available, technologies available, we cannot discount the effort, the manual effort that is required in analytics. This cannot go off. Whether somebody comes out with the best tool in the world, you have to have that manual effort. Now, in the manual effort, the challenge that I see is resource crunch in market, which I definitely see as one of the challenge. To get the right set of people, the right skill set with the right domain knowledge, and then teach them on patent data, how to read patents, etc., is a challenge that I see. And sometimes, scaling this operation at large level may become a real challenge for companies. So one of the things which we may see in future, which is my probable guess, is companies may go for more of outsourcing or managed service kind of a model where they may give this work to a third party, and they may ask saying that I want this report, you manage the tools, you give me a report and you give me an output. So this is one trend that we may see in future, because one of the other challenges, giving a real career growth to people sometimes may become challenge, because some companies are really investing in terms of how the career growth of people will be there who work on these hardcore areas, but not all of them. So therefore, it becomes little bit challenging at times. Second, future trend that I would guess is probably rationalization of tools. Many companies who have been investing on these tools and analysis, they have invested heavily on tools, and they have realized that there are so many tools that are available, because sometimes these tools may not talk to each other. You cannot get an end-to-end tool to do everything for you. You are trying to do an M&A and you want to identify targets. There's one tool, you click a button and you do it. It cannot happen, right? So the future trend will be, which I see most of the tool vendors are also trying to work together to see how these tools can talk to each other. One output can go to another input of another tool. So that's one of the future things that we may see. We have already started seeing that. And the last point, probably I'll take another minute or so. I definitely see, in future there will be more automation that will come in. It's not that there are people scarcity is a cause for it, but then definitely technology is changing. The database are now open, which was kind of very restrictive, and only a few tool vendors paid huge amount of money to get data. Today, the availability of data is there. So because the data availability is there, you have more flexibility to do lot of innovations around analytics, and therefore I definitely see that the technology will develop a lot in and around analytics. So those